wow, that is fantastic. Anyway, she phoned up again because she got stuck again, and then she phoned up a third time, and she said, I finished the game. Were you one of those people that was in the thing? Were you involved in it? I said, I wrote the game, yeah. And she went, who am I talking to? So anyway, that was really sweet.
Oh,
Bless her. It was very, very sweet.
Well, you still do that to this day, don't you?
Absolutely.
On Facebook and stuff, you reply to people.
Absolutely.
Tell us the story.
Normally it's myself. Depends who I'm logged in as. I'm not. I only do it occasionally. Trainer, you are absolutely brilliant. Sometimes on a Sunday, when we're confident that there isn't going to be a quick response. Tony, you were answering huge numbers, weren't you, over the weekend?
Mm.
One of the things that's very gratifying when I'm given the opportunity to, or when I'm invited to talk about things, one of my favourite subjects is talking about what it used to be like in the very early 80s, 1981, when I wrote my first game for the Sinclair ZX81.
One of those.
Did you?
Yeah.
1K of memory.
It was mine from a car boot sale.
Yeah, you're too young to have had it the first time round. You must have had it second time round.
I loved it. With the black, it was all black.
Yeah.
Everything was black.
Yeah,
black screen.
Yeah.
Great.
No, the black screen was because it didn't work.
It was loading up doing the tape. Job.
Well, the ZX80, of course, had so little memory that the RAM was also the screen memory. So basically, you'd press a button and the screen would start going like this, and then it would display. It's brilliant, but it's very clever. But what was great is we used to have what were called then microfairs, where you'd actually duplicate vast numbers of tapes and go down and meet people and flog them the games. And they were really jolly events because everybody, everyone really looked forward to them about 3 times a year or so. Yeah. The big ones at Christmas. And loads of people milling around. Everybody had a shared interest in what was going on. And then, as the industry grew, publishers from America, particularly Activision, came, and they were the first and came to dominate. And then the retailers became more and more powerful. And what happened is, whereas we used to have direct communication with people who enjoyed our games, we were having to go through. We got further and further away, and until there was a point where a publisher would choose what they wanted to publish on the basis that they would hope they would publish it if they had confidence that a retailer in 18 months' time would have confidence that enough people would buy it to make it worth stocking. I mean, that's why there was so much risk adversity, and also the games became more and more expensive. And that was profoundly depressing because, do you remember, we'd occasionally get letters from people who would write to us directly because they'd had no response from anybody else and they really needed help. So all we got was this filter, and a few things came through. And of course we'd go straight back. And that's been profoundly important. So now, I think you'd agree, we try really hard to be as honest as we can and to be as quick as we can. And of course we're not always as quick as we can. But we do take that very, very seriously. So what's great is you reply to somebody on Sunday and they'll come back and they're really thrilled because they didn't expect either nothing at all or they didn't expect anything until the Monday.
Definitely. I mean, it's always really gratifying when I manage to get back to somebody and actually help them the first time round. I do try and do that, and sometimes I manage to. And obviously then I think people are quite surprised sometimes if that's done, because I think people just assume the world is so busy, and maybe they see things like this and they think, oh, everybody's so busy working really late. And
the best that I ever had, which we was Bink, which is a video compression. I bought one about 5 years ago, and everything's moved on. I needed it about a year ago, so I just resubscribed and paid my $10 or whatever, and that went through, got my code. And then about an hour later I got an email through from their customer support person who said, look, we're really sorry, but we see that you've already bought this, so we've refunded your money, and we apologise for any inconvenience. It's like extraordinary.
That's quite efficient.
That's very efficient, isn't it? You see, now we're all talking about it.
Yeah, you've just promoted them.
Yeah, and they're very good, and please go and use their coffee.
Anyway, we should go back to the questions that we've got.
Yeah, what was the question?
We were just talking about episode 2, and we were talking about the very start, reminding people at the start of episode 2 about what happened.
Yes. And Tony suggested quite rightly that something to give an idea of what the history is, I think, would be really, because the history is so interesting. But that we don't need to say. At the moment, our focus is absolutely on the voice recording, because Rolf is flying over and arrives at the end of the week
Yeah, that's quite exciting.
for recording next week.
Sadly, he's only in London, so I won't get to meet him again, which is
Shame. He's a
sad.
lovely guy.
Yeah, I'd love to meet him. But we're talking about the audio recording, and Marcus Grundig has got a question. He's asking, have you decided, Marcus, yeah, have you decided yet how you'll translate the phone conversation with George in the Easter egg into other languages?
Yes. We're not gonna.
There's your answer.
Sorry, Marcus.
Well, to be fair, all the questions were in English, even from people. We had questions from people all over the world, but they asked the questions in English. So
Yes, and we chose questions from all over the world.
Yeah, we did.
And some people did have interesting English.
Yeah.
Created the sentence in quite an
You'll
interesting
hear the
non-English
different
way.
accents. I've listened to a few of the
Have you?
submissions.
Have they come through?
We've got about 6 out of 10 so far.
Fantastic.
'Cause me and Simon have been monitoring it. I've had to chase
Actually, it will be dubbed. So, but I mean, the point of it is, it's authentic because it's the people asking their own questions.
Yeah.
So there isn't really, or it would be silly to get an actor to stand in to
I think what Marcus is saying that is that for the Germans or for the French, you could do the same thing and have different. It would be logistically really difficult.
Yeah.
So apologies.
We actually didn't get many. I don't think I got any questions written in another language anyway to go through. I don't recall getting any. Maybe I presume those people translated their questions. So it was never something that really came up.
It will be. The text will be translated, so
Yep.
you'll still know what's been said.
Yeah.
But it's meant to be an Easter egg, so.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So we've got another question from Marcus. He wanted to know: do you read the press reviews? Have you read the press reviews of episode 1?
Yes, I do. Both the positive and
Tony says no.
both the positive and the negative. And I think it's really important to get a balanced view. And I read an awful lot of. You kindly forward the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the pretty. I think it'd be very foolish not to take. Personally, I take a lot more. I take a lot more seriously what actually people who played the game are saying rather than press.
Exactly.
And the spread of reviews is unbelievable. You know, we're getting 80s and 90s in one, and then other people are saying, and other people are knocking it back. Some fans are saying we're disappointed, we're going to give it 0, and that comes into the average rating. So I think the best way really to judge how successful and where people are, what people like and what they don't like, is just to read the responses, and we take that very seriously.
Yeah, we do.
Twitter is very good as well because you're effectively overhearing what people are saying. What real people are saying, real comments, but they're not necessarily being directed at us. It's like you're overhearing someone else's conversation about Burton Sword 5, and I find that extremely valuable.
Yeah.
So they're not making a point to us, and they're not some reviewer that's got an axe to grind or some other pseudo intellectual point to make. It's a genuine.
Steady on.
It's a genuine fan player comment, and that's a million times more valuable to me.
I think you're being very unfair there, Tony. There are an awful lot of reviewers who are very, very fond of the series and
I wasn't
very
saying,
supportive.
I wasn't saying all reviewers about it. I'm saying there are some which are a bit suspect.
There's some people, certainly, some reviewers write for their reputation above an objective view. But generally, I found reviewers to be great, and if they're critical, I take the criticism very seriously. Sometimes I think they're wrong, but generally I think they as long as they genuinely believe it and they're writing it from their heart and from an objective perspective, then we take, if it's good, then that's wonderful. If it's bad, we take it on the chin.
Yeah.
Generally, the response to the game from fans has been really, really good. The response, as I say, from magazines has been really, really good, with a few that have commented on the fact they didn't like the game was split. A few other comments which dragged us down. I think when episode 2 comes out, actually the review scores will go shooting back up again.
Yeah. So going back to episode 2 then, a few questions from the people in the chat room just now. Sven wants to know the release date of episode 2. that old beast.
Yeah. What we've said is that it'll be in the first quarter, which is by the end of March, and that is what we're determined to do. Now, I probably shouldn't say anything more because, if things slip, which they often do, then we might be pushed up to that barrier. So we don't know for sure because it'll be finished. Well, it'll be finished when it's finished, and we're hoping that it's going to be, a bit of time before the end of March. But there's the leeway to take us to the end of
The
March.
point that people understand though is that if it needs extra work, I'm sure that most people would rather more time was spent on that anyway, rather than there being other things that were not rectifiable in the game. So it's kind of making a balance between those two, isn't it?
Yeah, great.
But
Well, something like the 1080p, which has just gone out, is going to reinvigorate it, and hopefully, when the game is closed, when episode 2 is close, people who are real, hardcore fans might want to play the first part again anyway, because then they won't need to have a recap as to what happened, and they'll be able to go straight into the second part.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And what would you say in terms of? Do you want to talk anything about to do with the length of episode 2? Because a few people in the chat room, Danish was asking how long the second part would be in relation to the first.
Okay, well, it moves at quite a pace, so it's going to be shorter than episode 1, but not that much shorter. To be honest with you, we haven't really timed it.
No.
What we did last time was we invited a few beta testers to come, and we actually timed them, and that was the metric by which we could then say this game is 7-ish hours, 7 to 8 hours. This second episode is going to be slightly shorter than that, but we haven't actually done that process yet.
Right. Okay. That's fair enough. And do you think there will be anything else on the horizon after the release of episode 2, or are we going to still be rolling with that for quite a while? Because I know that somebody's asked the question. Matt Thornton has asked the question, where do you guys see yourselves going from there? But realistically, what everyone's asking is, are you going to do a different game? Are you going to stick with Broken Sword? I think we get asked this most.
Yeah. I think we can safely say that we love Broken Sword. We won't go straight onto another Broken Sword. And we have quite a few ideas. We genuinely don't know what we're going to do next. People are asking about Beneath Steel Sky 2, and it would be great to do that at some point, fairly soon. What we have the challenge of with Beneath Steel Sky is making the game feel utterly contemporary, but at the same time absolutely bringing over everything that people loved from the first one. And we should not, that is the big design challenge, and we shouldn't move forward until we're confident that we can do that. So we have a lot of ideas bubbling up. The way that the company works is that once we release episode 2, then we'll shrink back down again, and design, and then we're ready to go to production. We'll grow back up again, and that's the way that Revolution's worked for the last few years.
Remember that in the early days we did Lure the Tempestuous, which was this kind of fantasy game, and then we said let's do something totally different, and we did Steel Sky, which was certain sort of sci-fi. And we said let's do something totally different, and we did Broken Sword with history again, and maybe we've got some ideas that take us off the back of a Broken Sword into something completely different, but still narrative and puzzles and revolution. So our options are open, but we don't know.
So you'd stay in the adventure game type realm.
So do you say narrative?
Narrative.
Oh yes, definitely narrative, because it would be very arrogant of us to think that we could go into a totally different genre, and some developers think that, and I guess sometimes they're successful, but it's so competitive that you really need to build on your strengths rather than try and do something totally different.
Yeah, AAA first-person shooters probably not what we're going to do.
No kind of puzzle games or anything like that. Sort of.
Well, puzzles.
Flappy Bird.
Puzzles, not Flappy. There's a gap in the market now, isn't there?
I don't get this Flappy Birds thing. It's just gone over my head.
I heard a very interesting conspiracy theory.
Go on. What's your?
And that is that there's a bot that because nobody can work out why it went to the top of the charts, and that somebody somewhere did manage to fiddle it, and that's why it had to be taken down.
Really?
Yeah, that's the. I have no idea whether there's any truth in that, but
But surely he
What
would.
do you mean?
well, there's some sort of bot that managed to get it up the charts in some way. Somehow they managed to break the system, and when that came to light, it was taken off. I don't know. That's the conspiracy theory. But the funny thing is, everyone's talking about it.
That's true.
But
yeah.
but everyone's talking about it because, and I haven't played it. Okay, so all I can say is I've heard, that it's actually really terrible, and that the reason people are talking about it is why should a game that's so terrible go straight in so high up?
I didn't think it was terrible. I heard it's meant to be just maddeningly addictive and frustrating.
Yeah, like doodle jump style.
Oh well, maybe. As I say, I'm not
meant to be pretty
criticising
good.
it. I'm not criticising because I haven't played it, but certainly that's what people have told me. And then I went to actually get it yesterday and found that he was true to his word. He had taken it off, so now I can't play it.
Yeah.
I think it was maybe, or I was thinking that when it was taken down, that was a signal for aliens to invade. Well, like it's late Monday now and nothing's happened, so maybe that's not it.
Well, like the end of the world in
Well, they know
2012.
when
We'll
that
see.
goes down, they know it's time to come.
Yeah,
And it could be that, couldn't it?
yeah, good actually. That's a really good idea.
Well, you heard it
Could be
here
that.
first, I suppose.
Yes.
Could be that.
So some other questions relating to going back to the history behind Broken Sword 5, I suppose. Matt Thornton's already also asked, do you guys ever worry about how some religious believers might respond to the way their faith is being represented in the game? So I guess if there's any Gnostics or
We try very hard not to offend people or gratuitously offend people. I was invited by an Alpha group, and that's a Christian group, to actually talk about the Gnostics, which I was slightly surprised about, but I did, and it worried me that they were actually quite offended, and were quite aggressive actually, and so and that hasn't changed my approach, but it has made me aware that some people do find this stuff offensive. I think all we can say is that we researched this very, very thoroughly, that the internet is awash with conspiracy nonsense, part of which of course is the Prior of Sion, which is absolute nonsense. The Prior of Sion was created by a fellow called Pierre Plantard at the beginning of the 20th century. He was an anti-Semite who got a nasty piece of work, who got arrested.
Plantar,
Plantard, yeah.
like Plantard in the game.
Yeah, that's where he comes from. That's where he comes from. And he
I've learned something.
Yeah.
he founded multiple secret societies, and his genius was to plant fake documents in the Bibliothèque Nationale. And of course, this became the story that the Holy Blood and the Holy Grail picked up on, and and that it was Jesus' descendants through the Merovingian kings, and of course the Da Vinci Code then swallowed that hook, line and sinker and said, fact, the Prior of Sion have done this, and it's nonsense. So,
Unless it's not.
well, I did say to somebody on the film, because I was asked to be involved with the film, which is wonderful, and well, in relation to the game. And I said to this fellow, I said, look, you do know that it's all nonsense, don't you, the Prior of Sion? And he looked me in the eye and said, that's what they want you to think.
Well, yeah, exactly. You can never be sure, Charles, can you?
No, well, I think you can in this particular case.
I think they faked it to make it look fake. Like they were getting too close, you know.
Maybe,
So meta.
maybe,
They had
maybe.
to discredit it a bit.
Maybe.
You've fallen for that,
Yeah,
Charles.
yeah, no,
Can't
you're right.
believe it.
You're right. So,
Of course, it's real.
the book on the Gnostics. There are various books, but the book on the Gnostic Gospels, which were found in 1944 in Upper Egypt, Nag Hammadi. A very interesting book written by a theologian at Princeton University, I think, called Elaine Pagels. And so she's a very respected academic from a very respected university. So you read that. This is her life's work. You believe it. Obviously, there are a lot of loony conspiracy books which you don't believe at all, and you take them with a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
So, to answer a very reasonable and quite a short question with a very, very long and somewhat unreasonable answer, All I could say is that we research
unreasonable.
very carefully what we say, so could defend it, and hopefully we will not offend, or we will offend very few people, if any at all.
Okay. And there was something I always wanted to ask you about, actually, is the Malediccio painting is based on anything in
No,
particular?
it's a beautiful painting, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was created by a group, company called Atomhawk, obviously to our design and our specification, and it's lovely. We're very, very pleased with it.
Will it be involved in any of the rewards that backers are getting or anything like that? Is it going to show up?
What a good question.
I just know that it's quite popular. People quite like the imagery.
Yeah,
That's just some big ones, wouldn't it?
yeah, I would.
Well, there you go.
Dunno.
Maybe that's an option.
Yeah.
So we've not got much more time. There was one other thing that somebody asked that I thought was quite interesting, which is after the release of episode 2, is there going to be any more code jams? I don't actually know the answer to that question.
That's a great question.
Because people initially thought they were going to end after the release of episode 2, and we've sort of had a bit of a delay, but we've continued them.
That's a great question. Do you know what? Maybe that is a really good question, and that's a great idea. I think the answer has to be yes.
Kind of fun, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
When the technology works, they're really
Well, there
fun.
won't be there won't be Kickstarter code jams, obviously,
No.
because it won't be a Kickstarter thing. But it would be lovely to be able to communicate with
Maybe,
with you fine people, and
The Revolution fans coaching.
yeah,
Yeah, and we could advertise them on the forum, something like that, so that only people who are really interested will know
Yeah.
that they're happening.
yeah.
Yeah, that's quite
That's
good
a
idea.
really nice idea. Thank
In
you.
particular, they were interested. I can't pronounce your name. Mukbubar was interested in having one after episode 2, so they can literally talk about the game in full, I guess, and
Yeah.
discuss
Yeah, let's do that.
feedback
Definitely.
on
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
We'd be
So
up
that
for
would
that.
be really good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't know if anyone has anything else they want to say before we sign off for today. Got anything else you want to?
No.
We've got
God,
to-
but apart from, as you said, we said at the beginning, I mean, so much has happened since
It has
that
been.
last.
It seems like forever since
does,
we did
doesn't
that
it?
live launch party.
Yeah.
It really does. So.
And that live launch party was so funny, wasn't it? Well, it wasn't funny. It's just like, oh my god.
It was quite funny when Simon tripped over the lead.
Yeah, that was
I have
yeah.
to say that was my favourite bit.
Yeah.
He didn't hurt himself, so it was fine.
Have we actually admitted what an extraordinary time that was?
I think we admitted it at the start because it took us an hour or
I
two
know.
to
It's
It's
get
like an hour
started.
late, wasn't it?
I know.
It was a dramatic day, though, wasn't it?
It was really dramatic.
I don't think it belied truly how dramatic it was in the video, because by then we were all just totally exhausted. Sort of.
And we each had a bottle of champagne in our hands, I think.
Oh, I need to ask people a question. Sorry, I'll be back in a second. Just quickly.
Oh,
But yeah, that
he'll be back.
that Steam launch. I mean, when we updated it and it didn't work. I mean,
Yeah, I remember that moment quite clearly.
I've never known anything quite like it, to be honest.
So I felt very left out at the launch because I didn't wear my Yorkshire flat cap. So
Did you have it then?
No, I
It's
didn't.
new-
no,
newly
so
purchased.
I bought it specially so that when we finish, I can appear and we can all be wearing flat caps.
So am I going to have to get one
You
as well? A
certainly are.
floral one, because
Yes.
yours matches your jumper. So
Oh.
same colour, isn't it?
So the question is, do we approve or do you think I should get rid of it?
Well, yeah. If anyone's got any feedback on Charles's hat, then that would be great. Nobody's saying anything according to
just
me.
come back on.
Yeah, there's a slight delay, so we'll get some feedback on your hat to you, Charles. Don't worry.
Great.
But yeah, that means I'll have to get one then, I guess. You've not even worn yours this time.
No, I thought it might not go with the t-shirt, to be honest. I wouldn't want to make a fashion mistake, would I? In front of people.
That's very, yeah. It's a kind of a developer thing, isn't it? It's like your little. I don't know. What's the word I'm looking for?
Don't know.
Well, don't help me out. I don't.
Go
know
on,
what
go
it
on,
is.
Triana.
I was going to say it was like your. I'm just realising off the screen. It's like your little calling card
Yeah.
for Revolution. Calling card isn't the word that I mean. I don't know. I'll think about it. I'll get on my
Meme.
thesaurus. It's your
It's
meme.
the Revolution meme.
Yorkshireness. So you see Exhibit A, beard. Exhibit B, hat.
No accent though.
But Exhibit C, the accent is still wrong, Charles.
Now then.
It needs like a
Now then.
a steak pie or something.
You don't pronounce the W's. Now then.
Now then.
Now then, Charles.
Right,
Anyway,
I think that's probably.
I think we'll end
I
on
think
that.
now's a very good time to stop, I would say.
Thanks very much
Thank
for joining
you for
us.
joining us. It was
Yeah.
lovely to be able to talk to you.
We've had a great time, and hopefully we'll see you again for the next Co-Jam, possibly the launch one. Who knows? What
Yeah.
time is the
One of
time
many.
it's gonna-
Yeah.
Possibly one of many.
That's a great idea. Thank you for whoever said that.
Yeah, great suggestion. So take care, and we'll see you soon. Thank you. Bye.